Okay, so this is the final video, and for this one, we're going to talk about product design to make product more ecological, more sustainable. Before we do start, we need to look at the concept of product lifetime. Depending on what you're looking at, a product has a different lifetime. You can think of a lifetime for your product about the time that you own and you use that product. In fact, this is the duration of use, which is part of what you call the possession lifespan. This is how much time you had that product. Then you might trade that product or give it to someone else and have a few other owners. That will be the domestic service lifetime, how long this product was used by different people. And that will cover all the time that it was owned by different people. But we can talk about the lifetime that comes from, in fact, the total lifetime of that product will go from the production to the disposal of that product. So we have different lifetime that depends on the perspective on how you're looking at it. And I can ask you, for example, in the last 2 years, how many cell phones did you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, or none? And I should say, how many cell phones did you have, like switching from one to the other? Why did you change, or what did you do, sorry, with your previous cell phone? It's still in your drawer? Bad thing. Try to think about trading or give it to someone. You already did it, you traded, or you sold it, you gave it to someone, you threw it away, it was stolen, or any other thing. Just think about those questions. So based on this lifetime, in particular the total lifetime, we can have an idea of the impact on the environment, especially from the production, the manufacturing to the disposal. And that's leading us to what we call the life cycle of a product. And we are assessing its impact on the environment, leading to what we call a life cycle assessment. It's measuring the environmental impact of a product from its production to its disposal, from the cradle to grave. So we're looking at the extraction of the material, which will in fact impact on the environment because it's potentially destroying some of the ecosystem, it's producing some waste, it's using energy. The manufacturing will use definitely energy and produce some waste and some pollution. Transportation will do about the same. The use will also require energy, potential accessory that will link to also producing more waste. And finally, the disposal that can be disposed to a landfill that may require energy if we want to recycle it or so on. So all of the steps of the lifetime of a product has impact on the environment. And if we look at the cell phone, well, we can look at all of this stage. We have the material extraction, the manufacturing, the packaging, transportation, the life of the cell phone with a consumer, and then the end life will either be disposed or being reused or recycled. From all of those steps, in fact, it is estimated that those first two ones, the extraction plus the manufacturing stage, all of those together count for 80% of the impact on the environment. So that's why I'm coming with the topic of product design, because product design impact directly on the material that you need and the manufacturing step. So we are able to reduce those 80% of impact on the environment if we design more carefully our product. We can also impact on the packaging and how it can be impacting on the consumer life. But essentially, we can play on those 80%. Taking one brand that is well known about life cycle assessment, Apple with the iPhone, every new phone, they release this report, the life cycle assessment report for the cell phone. Of course, coming with very good numbers, but they have, and you can find the details right here. You can find it also for Samsung and other brands, but those give you a full report on the impact on the environment and how they've made improvement since the last in itself. For example, you see smarter chemistry using less chemical than before. They push for the trade-in, for example, and they definitely go, as you see, into the cycle, kind of making an estimate that each cell phone, which is maybe a quarter or half a quarter of kilograms, is in fact emitting 64 kilograms of carbon emission during its life. So it's pretty consequent. So this idea of design of a product to be more ecological, it's what we call eco-design, trying to be making a product that will make having less impact from the manufacturing, but keep your consumer happy, having a high quality product, more efficient manufacturing site with fewer emission. This is all what's kind of included into what we call product design for the environment, what we call DFE. And DFE will be acting on 2 points. Either you're trying to improve the process, making your product, I mean, you keep making the same product, but the manufacturing steps are different. You do it in a way that it has less impact on the environment, on the environment, that it's more sustainable. Or you're applying a change in the product in a way that you keep the same, I mean, you keep the phone, but you're modifying the material. And the material you use will be having less impact on the environment. So you keep the function, but you're making some change in it. So you're either playing on the manufacturing in itself, where you play modifying the steps of manufacturing, or you're modifying slightly the product to make it more sustainable. And there are more strategies to make a product more sustainable. And this is part of your lecture prep assignment, which was to go over an article that presents you those design strategies, the different design strategies that can make a product more sustainable. I want to end with one. I mean, I was speaking about cell phone for all of this video, but there is another product that tend to have a very high impact on the environment, and we don't realize it. It's our clothes. The clothing sector has one of the biggest impact on the environment. And from this graph, we see that in 15 years, the amount of clothes that has been produced has been doubled. We're producing twice more clothes nowadays than 15, 20 years ago. The fashion industry, the industry producing clothes, is in fact emitting greenhouse gases and pollution and pollutants 10 times more than the transporting system, than transportation. 10 times, sorry, not 10 times, twice more. We are about 10% of the emission of CO2 emitted from fashion industry versus 5% for transportation. Additionally, the fashion industry is also responsible for a lot of the microplastic, of the plastic that we found in the ocean, in those garbage patch. The litter of clothes and all the microplastic that is being used in that industry end up a lot in the ocean. And ironically, because we have a more and more an increase in our economy in the world, we are buying more and more clothes. It's logical. You have a better economy, so you're buying more clothes. But we are using, in fact, less and less clothes indirectly. So it's interesting to see that our closet is getting more, it's full of clothes, but we're always wearing the same stuff. And so we have an accumulation of clothes that we are buying that are not being used. And this is definitely a change we can do in our daily lifestyle. And I'll invite you to watch this other movie that talks about the impact on the environment of the fashion industry. I will not play it here since I want to end up with one last slide in this video right here, concluding with the idea that less stuff, more happiness. We can be happy by having less stuff. And that's an exercise I have to do myself. But sometimes we need to think about smaller, less, and we can still be happy with it. Happiness doesn't come with consumption. And that's the end of this lecture with this short video.
TED Talk, and his message that less stuff equals more happiness. He says that if we have less stuff, it will take up less space. Literally, you know, when you move house, you have boxes everywhere. Our footprint will be smaller, which is a great environmental thing. And our pockets are going to be richer. We're going to have more money because we won't have spent it all on stuff, and that will bring us ease. His strong message, though, is that less really is more. And 3 things we can do to achieve more happiness is to edit ruthlessly, to think small, not big, think small. He recommends that we nest, stack, and digitize things. He says that small is sexy. And we should look at things for their multifunctional uses. How could using one thing be applied to something else? Live an edited life. You'll have more freedom, and he says you'll be able to make room for the really good stuff in life. Really make room for the stuff that we want to do in our lives. Graham Hill, he's a designer, and he spoke and delivered his TED Talk, And while he did that, I distilled these points visually.
Okay, and with that, we are done with this lecture on waste and product, and I wish you a good rest of your day. See you soon. Bye, everyone.